What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for the Real Housewives of Miami, Season 5, Episode 6. So we are still talking to Lisa, and she's giving us all the details on what's been going on with her and Lenny over the last week. She said he told, they had to cook out on Saturday. On Monday, he said he wanted a divorce. On Wednesday, he let her know he was dating somebody. And by the end of the week, he was calling that woman his girlfriend. Now, you know, and I know, and Lisa know too, that he was dating that woman long before Wednesday. But this is the timeline. Now, what's funny is, Julia and Adriana are at the bar eating, and they think that the ladies are fighting, and so they were like, I don't want to go over there. I don't have the energy for it. I'm gonna just sit over here and finish eating my food because they over there fighting already. And it's sad that y'all fight so much when y'all get together that they automatically assume that y'all were fighting and miss this whole situation, right? But if you go back over, Nicole gave you probably the best advice that everybody at that pool gave you. Nicole said, do not leave the house, because Lenny told her she needed to get out and she needed to find some place to live with her and the kids. Now, let me be clear. I think that Lenny is handling this situation like a whole SOB. I'm sure there's no easy way to divorce your wife. I'm sure there is no easy way, or vice versa. But I do feel like the way that this whole situation is being handled is real effed up. However, I do think that Lisa may have heard what she heard it the way her hurt, broken-hearted ears interpreted it, not necessarily what he said. And what I mean by that is this. She said that he told her, you need to get out, you need to find some place for you and the kids to live. I'm thinking that maybe he's saying that we need to downsize. Like, neither one of us are going to stay in this house. If I got to pay child support and all the other things I'm getting ready to have to do, because it sounds like they have a prenup. I've read in the blogs that they did have a prenup, but he still know he's going to be paying child support for 2 kids on his salary, right? I don't know if he was like, Lisa, get the hell out, and I'm going to stay here in this big old mansion with my girlfriend. But I could be wrong, because by the end of this episode, after I kept hearing, I was like, well, maybe he did say that. But Nicole told her, don't leave that house, because once you get out, you might not be able to get back in. It could be called abandonment. Do not leave that house. She said, and you need to get on the phone right now, and you need to put every high-powered divorce attorney on retainer until you can get back to the city and interview and find out who you want to go with. But you need to move now. Now, the problem is Lisa is not only hurt, but Lisa still wants her marriage. She said, call me crazy, call me stupid, but I still want my marriage to work with Lenny. Like, I still want us to figure out a way to get through this. How about you can do both? How about you can protect yourself and follow through with getting an attorney? Now, Nicole later on in an episode called her fiance, who is an attorney, and he said exactly what Nicole said. He was like, oh no, she needs an attorney like yesterday. And all of the guys think that this is a total, like, the way Lenny's handling it is really messed up. Now, let me just go ahead and knock this Lenny situation out. So Lisa ends up, they leave the pool. They're going back to the room to get dressed for dinner. It's Alexia's birthday dinner. And of course, Lisa has set this whole thing up. And she goes back to the room, and her mother-in-law, now mind you, her mother-in-law, who didn't used to like Lisa, is now like the person that's letting her know what's going on. The mother-in-law called and said, look, he done put me out the house, because she was watching the kids, because remember, they got a whole nanny situation. He done put her out the house, told her, I guess put her in the guest house or whatever. She said he sent the big Rolls Royce with the driver away, and she said, I think the driver's going to go pick up the girl and bring her back to the house. So of course Lisa is like, you got to be kidding me. So he's going to bring some strange woman into my house with my kids while I'm not there. She said, this woman could be around my belongings, around my kids, in my home, like wandering through my house. Like, I don't know who this person is. Like, I haven't put anything away. Like, my kids are there. What is going on? Like, what is wrong with him? Come to find out, so she calls the nanny. He done put the nanny in the guest house with the kids. Kids asleep, the nanny got the kids, and he is entertaining. He absolutely brought a woman, I don't know if it's the same woman, but he absolutely brought a woman back to the house while Lisa is out of town. And the mother-in-law is calling Lisa saying, girl, you might want to get home. Like, you really might want to get back here. Lisa is a total wreck. She walks away from the cameras. She tells them, listen, I got to handle this. Please don't film me right now. Like, I'm really dealing. Like, she, you know, and that's how you know when it's for real. When they tell the cameras, not right now. She done looked this woman up, found her on Instagram, and of course, all the women are calling her a floozy and a tramp and a hoe and all of that. And that's what you're supposed to say because that's your friend, right? And you're supposed to have your friends back. So everything that they said, they supposed to say. And I ain't mad about it. The woman put herself in that situation. You dating a married man, child. It's whatever. Now, Gertie made some comments that I didn't think were wrong. You know, Gertie was like, girl, think of yourself. Like, you have to be concerned about yourself. And Larsa is like, no, Gertie, like, you don't understand. You're married. And Gertie was like, but I got an opinion. And I understand both sides of that coin. Like, Larsa is like, look, I just went through this. I just divorced the man I was married to for 20-something years, had 3 or 4 kids. They got 4 kids. And so I understand a little bit more, but Gertie is also a friend and she's giving an opinion, even though she's, you know, happily married that we know of. She's still giving an opinion as a friend. But everybody, of course, after they go back to their rooms, everybody's having a sidebar conversation. Gertie done called her husband. Nicole called her husband. Julia and Adriana are talking about the situation. And everybody can agree on one thing. If they can't agree on nothing else, they can agree on one thing. That the way Lenny is handling this is totally effed up. And I think I can agree with that. Again, you have all the money in the world, sir. You could have took that woman to the best hotel in Miami. You could have bought a condo or rented a condo until your divorce was final. Like, you did not have to take the first opportunity that your wife was out of town and bring a woman, even if it wasn't that woman, a woman back to your marital home less than a week after you told your wife you wanted a divorce. Like, that's effed up. And regardless of how people might feel about Lisa being spoiled and pampered and, you know, not, you know, whatever, that's effed up. And I don't think anybody would handle that well. So all of this is happening while Alexia is having her birthday dinner. Now, let me say this. At this point, I'm convinced that these resorts and these high-end places are just making up shit to add for ambiance. They had a woman inside one of them plastic balls, you know, that they've had people doing them in the pool and all of that, in like a light up costume doing like aerobics. Because I think it was supposed to be like acrobats, but like she did like a half flip. It was like she couldn't flip all the way over. Why do I want to watch that while I'm eating dinner by the beach? Like, the fact that we are literally sitting in the sand having this really nice 4-course, you know, chef prepared meal. The beach is my ambiance. Like, I don't need people throwing fire. I don't need nobody belly dancing. I just feel like we making up shit to do. Can I just eat my dinner and enjoy the conversation? Like, I was like, there is nothing about that is making me say, yes, I want that at my next party. Nothing about that is saying yes. So then they're at dinner and, you know, Lisa gets up because this is when all the stuff is going on with Lenny. So Lisa actually gets up and walks off. And so, you know, of course they talk again about how bad they feel for Lisa and where did she go and they're so sorry. You know, Marisol gets up to go to the bathroom and Lisa's in the bathroom. So Lisa lets Marisol know what's going on and Marisol comes back to the table and says, y'all, it is bad. This is what Lenny is doing. It is so horrible what Lenny is doing to Lisa. And so after they get exhausted with the Lisa conversation, I'm sure production told them change the subject, like just change the subject. So Marisol says, I have a game. Now on their way down there, Marisol says she had this game of questions and you ask the question and then you have to say, who do you think, I might be getting the two shows mixed up. Is it who do you think is most likely? I think that was on Real Housewives of Potomac last night, child. But they ask these questions and you have to answer the questions, right? And so it's fun for a minute until they ask a question about who's most likely to be a prostitute or be a high-end prostitute or something like that. And Alexia makes a comment about, well, Julia, you know about prostitutes, you're Russian. Julia was like, what? What does that even mean? And Julia said, and she didn't say anything. And Alexia was like, what? I'm just being honest. What? I'm just being honest. And Alexia, Julia was just, but you could tell that Julia was pissed. Like, you could tell it totally pissed her off. She was like, well, Marisol said that the first rule was that people not to get offended. Marisol was like, I didn't say that. Don't put that one on me. I didn't say nothing about nobody not getting offended. Don't you put that on me. So Julia in her confessional was like, when I was in Paris as a model when I was in my 20s, that was the stereotype even back then. And I had to fight that stereotype every time people found out that I was from Russia. And it was kind of like, oh, yeah, sure, you're a model. And so she said it's offensive and it's very upsetting that she would say that. And again, Julia, you could tell, Julia was noticeably upset by it. And Alexia, she doubled down on it. Like, she wouldn't apologize. She wouldn't say, you know what, that's a stereotype. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. She just doubled down on it. And Alexia had gotten a really nice, Todd had sent her a watch via her best friend, Joey, I think his name is. I don't know his name. But it's like, really nice, expensive. Well, I forgot what the brand is. And, Julia was like, okay, but you the one, because she was talking about being independent and talking about not living off of a man, Lisa not living off of a man and being independent. And Julia was like, okay, kettle meat pot, like you literally are living off of a man. And she was like, but the difference is I could afford to, because Adriana was like, girl, like I have the exact same watch. The only difference is I bought mine. Like, and so they kind of coming at Alexia like, girl, like you, like that's not cute. But Alexia would not double down off of it. And then basically the cake came out, and they cut the cake, but Julia was still upset. She still wasn't feeling it. So the next day, Lisa, she ends up leaving. She said, I got to get home. She actually wanted to leave the night before, but they probably convinced her not to, because the only thing you could have done was take a car home or drive in the middle of the night. And they were like, no, like you could. So she got on the first thing smoking. I don't know if she drove back to Miami. had a car take her back to Miami, or if she got on a plane. But remember, the plane was only like a 20-minute ride. So she probably just took a car. It took about 3 hours in the car to get back home. And I look forward to the rest of these episodes and see how this is playing out. But again, like I said, I just feel like this is a totally effed up situation with the way he's handling it. Listen, I ain't telling nobody to stay in a marriage where they're not happy, but there's a way you do things in decency and in order. Anyway, so the ladies are getting ready, after they find out Lisa's leaving, yada, yada, yada. So they're going off for the day. They're going to a restaurant where they're going to make mojitos and smoke cigars and learn how. So they stop for coffee on their way. And Julia and Alexia end up having this conversation. And Alexia apologizes. So here's my problem with this. And I've said this a million times before. Once somebody has done something to you, all they can do is apologize. Even though the night before Alexia doubled down on it, she came back this morning and apologized. Marisol maybe spoke to her. Maybe she got sober and realized, damn, I was a little out of hand. Maybe. Julia, you're fine to say, listen, I accept your apology, but understand how hurtful it was, because that's something that I've had to deal with all of my adult life. It is a stereotype that has followed me, and I've had to deal with it, and it was hurtful coming from a friend. And then you wouldn't come off of it, you double down, and then leave it at that. Sometimes you just have to show people better than you could tell them. Then you just adjust how you deal with her. Like, y'all ain't best friends anyway. But Julia wanted to turn it into a whole ABC after school special and break down all of the things that are wrong and, all the things that she went through in her life as it relates to being Russian and the stereotypes. And Alexia, and then she starts coming at Alexia. I mean, you were married to a drug dealer. I mean, what would you? She was like, Alexia was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because the thing that irritates me about Julia is Julia will have a problem with this, but then she'll talk about something totally different. Your problem is with Alexia making a comment about you being a Russian hooker, okay? Why are you talking about how you had to work to feed your kids and nobody gave you anything, and Alexia dated a drug dealer, and Alexia was like, whoa, 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 hold up, stop it. She said, first of all, I was somebody that had the unfortunate, that was unfortunate enough to fall in love with a drug dealer, okay? She said, but let's be clear, I didn't make no money off of him because he lost everything. He got busted and he lost everything. She said, the money that I got from my father. When my father died, he left me money. So don't get it twisted, okay? And so then the argument went totally left, and now Alexia is on the defense because you done tried to pull up her past and throw it in her face. And that's not even what this argument was about. This argument was about her calling you a hooker. And she apologized. And Alexia kept saying, I've apologized. I have apologized. I have apologized. I don't know why, what you want from me, but I have apologized. So they end up getting back on the bus because everybody else was on the bus waiting for them. And they were looking at them like, oh my goodness. So they get back on the bus. And in true Real Housewives fashion, one argument between two women then turned into everybody on the bus. Next thing you know, Gertie and Larsa are arguing about the comments that Gertie made to Lisa about her divorce. And Gertie was like, so what are you trying to say? I can't have an opinion because I'm married? I'm going to say what I want to say. You can't tell me what to say and what I can and can't say. Then next thing you know, Adriana is involved in the argument with Alexia because, of course, if Julia got a problem, then Adriana got a problem. And now they talking about Alexia. And of course, then Julia and Alexia continue the argument. And it becomes a whole van full of people arguing. Poor Marisol, Nicole, and Kiki was trapped in that van with people yelling and screaming across from each other over really nonsense. And then, now what I didn't like was that Alexia tried to blame it on, well, I was mad at Lenny, and Lenny is part Russian, and so I was just throwing a jab at Lenny. No, you were throwing a jab at Julia. Lenny ain't got nothing to do with this conversation. Lenny is part Russian. Lenny do he even speak Russian? I haven't been watching this show from the beginning. But does the man even speak Russian? What are you talking about, girl? What do you mean? Oh, well, I was mad at Lenny. No, you weren't mad at Lenny. Well, you were mad at Lenny. But that wasn't about Lenny. You was throwing a jab at him. I mean, at her. And just stand in it. You apologize. Just stand in the shit. Anyway, child, that's what it is. That is episode 6. Child, we're going to get caught up. I think we got 4 more episodes to get caught up. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace.